Hello and welcome. I am Natasha Edwina, and this is my new podcast and YouTube channel, the Oasis of Awareness, where we dive deep into systemic change through positivity, pleasure, playfulness, and partnership. It's my intention and my goal to have a variety of really powerful embodied guests on here, some of them women, some of them men. But we're going to talk about themes of change, of deep systemic change, ways that we can move through this cultural shift that I'm sure you're sensing in ways that are more embodied, more fun, more playful. Because there's a lot of wounding, cultural wounding, abuse, trauma, things like that we've experienced on an individual level as well as a collective level. And there's a lot of conversations that are not that fun to be had, that are a lot of people avoid or don't want to talk about. And yet it's those conversations that are the most healing. And I'd like to have some of those conversations, but do it in a way where it opens awareness, where we get to learn more about ourselves and about each other, create a sacred space for healing, and learn how we can show up in our greatest authenticity and our greatest power in order to be part of that change. Because what I know about systems theory is that the world changes when the individual changes. So we do our individual work, and whatever we do goes out into the universe, and whatever happens systemically and culturally, it funnels back down to us. So my background is I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I've had a specialization in working with children, family, trauma, a lot of that for the last 20 years or so. And I have transitioned about 4 years ago more into the coaching sphere and more into consulting and working in a high-end wellness center called Vera Via here in Carlsbad, California, where I do workshops and speaking, and I do hypnosis. I work with the subconscious mind. I work with both women and men to embody more of their divine feminine energy, or feel more in connection with their divine feminine energy. Why do I focus on the divine feminine? Well, that's pretty easy, because I've always rooted for the underdog. I was one of those people that I really want to bring back into balance, equality, really have the scales balanced. So, being a woman in this society, definitely, historically, you've been part of an oppressed group. In fact, some researchers and scholars are saying that it's going to be about 208 years, if we continue the way we're continuing, before we get true gender equality, true parity, gender parity. I'm not willing to wait that long. Let's do this now. So even though I don't really enjoy being in front of the camera, I am breaking through my shyness, breaking through my desire to stick to my introvert ways, to come out and bring some of these conversations, to offer some of my gifts. I have about 14 years of higher education. I've spent a lot of my adult life into in-depth study, into family systems, into mind-body medicine, into healing, into trauma work, into embodiment of the feminine. I mean, I'm always taking a course. In fact, I'm just signed up for a yoga teacher training tomorrow. I know I'm totally crazy, but this is what I do. I love to learn. And as I continue to learn, I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you what I've already learned. I'm going to share with you new things. I'm going to learn new things, hopefully from your comments and your feedback and some of the guests that I bring in on this podcast. And so divine feminine, we've been out of balance. We've been living in a patriarchy for, 5,000 years or so. And you probably have noticed things are shifting pretty rapidly lately. And, in the Baha'i faith, they talk about a bird having two wings. And one is the masculine and one is the feminine. There's the feminine energy and the masculine energy. And for a long time, we've been trying to flap and fly with one wing. But we need both of those wings to really soar and to really create this unity, which is a concept that comes out of Tantra, this unity, yin and yang of the divine masculine, divine feminine. And so I want to give voice to women, give voice to other oppressed peoples, so that we can share different perspectives, and we're not just hearing that same voice. We're just not doing things the same way, that we can learn how to have that balance and do things in a more efficient way, in a more empowered way that works for everyone. Move forward as a society, as a collective. That's what I'm interested in. And so what I'd like to share today is a little bit about my story. My story is, gosh, where do we start? I had a friend tell me the other day, she's like, Natasha, you've already got several books in you. I have a lot to share, but let's see. The version that I'll tell today, I was born into a family that already had a lot of conflict. My parents divorced when I was still a baby. In fact, I don't ever remember them being together. Most of my childhood was them being, arguing with each other, or I was the go-between. And I think it was only natural for me to become a therapist because I got really used to looking at all sides of a story and trying to figure out what the truth was, and try to figure out, what's going on with this person, what's going on with this person. And I spent a lot of time with extended family members too, kind of being bounced around, between these adults. And with that and some other unfortunate circumstances that happened throughout my life, I ended up experiencing a lot of childhood trauma. If you've heard of a study called the ACE study, it's the Adverse Childhood Experience Study, it shows that the amount of adverse childhood experiences or childhood trauma actually relates to your physical health, your health and wellness. And there's a direct correlation. So if we really want to get a handle of our physical health and wellness, then we need to look at this trauma that we experience. So I've done a lot of work. I did a lot of work in my own therapy as a kid. I did some more work in my early 20s. And I now, anytime I go through something, I rely on going to therapy, getting my own coach if I need trouble. And it makes me a better coach, makes me a better consultant. And so I want to normalize that process for anyone who hasn't done their work or has done their work. It's an ongoing process, and we all have to do that work in order to be able to understand each other and be able to move forward and to step into our full power so that we know where our Achilles heel is and we can strengthen that area, and we can know what our zone of genius is and we can spend more time there. Because I always say, if we stay in our lane, the world's going to be a better place. And what I mean by staying in your lane is know what your competence is, know what your genius is, and do that. What are your gifts? What intuition do you come into this world with? What do you want to do with your life? What are you meant to do in this lifetime? I believe that you're here for a reason, because we're going through massive global shifts right now. We're more interconnected as a society than we've ever been because of technology. You're watching this video or listening to this audio right now because of technology. I'm hanging out with you in your kitchen right now, or while you're in the shower, or while you're driving to work. And how cool is that? That's how we get to communicate and learn about each other and learn about other cultures. Right? But then also, sometimes we get a little too addicted to our electronics, and that takes us away from the balance of grounding with Mother Nature. Mother Nature is also the divine feminine. And so when we start to honor more of the divine feminine, Mother Nature, nurturing our own body, resting when our body says rest, even if the plan was to do something else, of, bumping up against a block and flowing like the water around or to a different path. Because now the universe is telling us that's not the path. And so I'm wearing a crown right now, and I'm wearing it for two reasons. One, it's Halloween, and I have a Halloween party to go to, and my pieces of my costume, I'm deciding between two different costumes, are coming in. So I thought I would wear this for a little while, try it on, see how it works for me, see how comfortable it is. But also, my work is really about allowing the divine feminine to come and reclaim its place on the throne. So that it's not that we're living in a patriarchy or a matriarchy, but for the first time maybe ever in history, we're equal. And we understand that we're both equally powerful, and that can look different ways. That power can look different ways, that we each bring our gifts, and that we're creating space, not for just a hierarchical ruler with one person on the top, but for the balance. And that we have more of a a collective working together across the planet, across the globe, because we need that now. We have more complicated problems than we've ever had. We have to come together and work through this stuff. And so that's what I'd like to bring you. So we're going to be talking about things like, oh my gosh, it's going to be all over the place. We talked about, I already have recorded a couple episodes, wondering when I'll release them. It'll all be in divine timing. But we're going to be talking about women's empowerment. We're going to be talking about embodiment, movement. We're going to be talking about sex. We're going to be talking about dating and relationships. We're going to be talking about triggers and wounding and how to heal. We're going to be talking about cultural oppression. We're going to be talking about maybe some stuff with politics. But it's all going to be healing conversations. It's not about pointing the finger at somebody and shaming. I do not believe in shaming. I believe that that is one of the most destructive ways to create change. And I think that's a lot of what's going on in our society right now is people saying, you hurt me or you did this. And we really need to move past that. And we need to inspire people to make a shift. So that's what I hope to do. I want to open up the conversation. I want to give you a lot of good research and stories and examples of the ways that I've understood these philosophies, these things, the ways that I've worked with clients to help them transcend their relationship struggles, their communication struggles, to get their health and wellness back on track, to lose weight even, to improve their mental health or mental wellness so they're living a life that they enjoy. You know, we're in these bodies. We're in these bodies with these 5 senses, and we're meant to enjoy life. We're meant to smell the things and feel the things and touch the things and taste the things. And that's what this earthly existence is about. And I would say that the world is getting more spiritual. It's allowing space for a spiritual perspective. And it's one thing to talk about it, but it's quite another to embody it and to live it. And so this is about embodying that, being authentic, being your authentic self, not just doing a thing because everybody's doing it, not just saying, yeah, I go to church, but actually feeling the spirit move you. And that might not happen in a church. You might not ever step foot in a church. You might feel that in the ocean or in the mountains. You might feel that as you're nurturing your child. You might feel that in a hypnosis session. So there's many different ways to have these spiritual experiences. So I want to bring that into this too. So stay tuned. Thank you for being here. I would love for you to share this to somebody who you think might find this sort of content valuable. Subscribe and meet me here next week. Thank you very much.